Hello, my name is Denise Burke. I'm with the Cheyenne chapter of the League of Women Voters, and it's my pleasure to introduce you today to Mr. Thomas Lear. He's a candidate for House District 12, and in advance of this interview, he was given the questions like all of the candidates have been given. And so we'll begin, Mr. Lear, if you just provide a little background for the viewers about yourself. Please go
Absolutely.
ahead.
Well, thank you. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. I genuinely appreciate it. So my name is Thomas. I'm originally from Wyoming. I was actually born on the Air Force Base back when they still had a hospital. Yeah, I'm that old. But I grew up on the south side of Cheyenne for a large chunk of my life. I have a great affinity for this side of town. My parents, my father and my stepfather were both military, so we did move a little bit when I was growing up. I attended high school in Alaska. I played college baseball for a very short time, but ended up finishing my bachelor's at UW. Traveled for about 10 years as I was working in sports, but came back to Cheyenne almost 8 years ago, and started teaching here at LCCC. And I teach English as a second language. I teach US civics. And I, this spring, decided that I wanted to do more. I wanted to help more people. I love the work I do here. Working with adult education students is the best work in the world. But I feel like I want to make a bigger impact and make a difference in the lives of more Wyomingites. And a part of that is I live in House District 12. I've been there for 8 years. I feel that we need stronger representation. I feel like we need somebody who brings more attention to the issues on our side of town. Also, everybody knows, I mean, divisive politics have taken hold nationally and in Wyoming. And I'm very disheartened by that. I hate it. I really wish we could talk to each other more. And so one of the reasons I'm running is because I feel like I can talk to and work with anyone that has, the best interests of Wyoming in their heart, I will work with. I hope to bring a more reasoned voice to the House of Representatives if I'm elected. And there's many, many things that I hope to do. I care deeply as a teacher about education. I worry about the direction our education system is headed. I feel like funding could be used differently. I worry about our young people leaving the state at the highest rate in the nation, and what that's going to do to our economy in the very near future. So those are just a couple of the issues that I care deeply about.
Great. Thank you so much. Great
Yeah.
introduction. Okay, we're going to just jump in with the first question. And I'm going to be reading from a script, so I apologize if that seems less personal, but that is how we are trying to make all of these interviews, the
Absolutely.
same. Number one is, what specific policies or reforms do you think Wyoming could effectively implement to reduce healthcare costs for the uninsured and the underinsured? You may go ahead.
I'm glad you guys are asking this question, honestly, because it's something I've been talking to others about recently, and I feel like it's an area that Wyoming is lacking, where we're falling behind the rest of the nation, and that is we need Medicaid expansion. I feel like we are harming ourselves by not opting in, accepting the significant amount of money that the federal government would put into Medicaid expansion. And I know as a Wyomingite, I've lived here for more than half my life. My family's been here since 1976. We're very proud that we don't rely on federal dollars, but sometimes you cut off your nose to spite your face. And all we're doing is harming ourselves and harming our own people. And I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but I think it's 30,000. It might be more. People who would be eligible that would be helped by Medicaid expansion. And all of the evidence suggests that it's good, not just for those individuals, but it's good for everyone. It's good for the state. It's good for hospitals who will recoup more of the money they lose every year by people who can't afford to pay their bills. It'll help those that, need health care, but risk going into debt or bankruptcy or losing their home. And the outcomes for those that are on Medicaid, lower depression, have better employment outcomes. So there's just a lot of positives in my mind for Medicaid expansion, and the investment on the state side would be minimal. So it, to me, is one of those things. We've been working on it for almost 10 years now. I feel like we have to make it happen very, very soon.
Right, thank you. Okay, the second question. What accountability and performance measurement standards should be required for all public, private, and charter schools?
So let me preface this answer by saying I have worked in a charter school. When I was an undergrad at the University of Wyoming, I actually worked at Snowy Range Academy for almost 2.5 years. And I will say that prior to working there, I had probably a negative perspective on charter schools. That did change slightly by being there, because I saw the great work that the teachers I worked with did. I saw the effect that that charter school had on the lives of others.
Mm-hmm.
But my baseline is that our public education system should be the best in the world. There's no reason it shouldn't be. I mean, we are the wealthiest nation in the history of Earth, yet we lag somewhere in the low teens when it comes to, performance.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to compare public, private, and charter school, obviously, I think most people go to standardized testing. I'm not a big fan of standardized testing for many reasons. I believe in data. I believe in research. And there's a lot of reasons why private schools might outperform public schools. I feel like the entire goal of education is to give people a chance at the American dream, a chance at a better life. So for me, I favor looking at outcomes. So how many students enroll in college, complete either a 2, 4-year or job certification? What are their long-term prospects in terms of income and owning a home, things like that, because that's the point of education. Performing well on a standardized test is important in some respects, getting into college, things like that. But I don't think that you can compare public and private schools with standardized tests alone. So I would actually favor some type of system where we look at more than just that.
Okay. The third question, what infrastructure investments do you think are necessary to support the state's long-term economic growth?
Well, this is a tough question. As I'm sure you've been here a long time as I have. Our roads are not the best. I think something that every Wyomingite talks about is, why are our roads so bad, right? But it's not just roads. I mean, we've got to look at our public school buildings. And yeah, I'm biased because I'm a teacher, but a lot of our public schools are very, very old. The situation with art this past year was reprehensible. I can't think of a better word. And for the state legislature to not fix that issue, to address that issue head on, is inexcusable. When I was growing up here, I grew up in the 80s and 90s in Wyoming. We bragged about having one of the absolute best education systems in the country, right? We've always spent well on students, but our performance is not matching that spending anymore. And facilities are a part of that. Going to school in a building where you don't have to worry about things falling down on your head, whether or not there's proper heating, whatever, those are just basic necessities that we should be supplying for our students. So that, as part of infrastructure goes, that would be one of the first things that I would like to look at. Roads are always going to be an issue, and that's another thing where it comes to federal funding. There is money out there that we can utilize to improve our roads and our infrastructure, But again, Wyoming, we have to look at ourselves and we have to say, are we going to continue to shoot ourselves in the foot and not take this money because we're too proud? The bottom line is that federal money comes from our pockets as well, right? It comes from our tax dollars. So our neighbors utilize it to improve their infrastructure, but we say, no, we're too proud to accept federal money, so we allow everybody else to use our money. It doesn't make any sense to me, right? So those are just a few things that I would address if I'm elected.
Great. Okay, the last of the four major questions is, how would you engage in constructive dialogue with those who have opposing views?
Well, yeah, this is one of the reasons I'm running, flat out. I decided to run because I'm tired of the divisive politics. I'm tired of people calling each other names, being rude to each other, being mean to each other. If you disagree with me, then you're evil. No, I mean, that's getting us nowhere. It's sending us backwards. And so one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to walk in there and I'm going to talk to anybody who has a good idea. I don't care who you align with, what caucus you are a part of. I will work with you if I feel that you have the best intentions of Wyoming in your heart. And so part of that's going to be, I'm not going to engage in the normal stuff of name calling and demonizing. I don't think that is getting us anywhere. And unfortunately, it's become just commonplace in politics today. It's just accepted that we are rude and mean to each other. And nowhere else in life do we do that. Nowhere else in life do we walk into a conversation. Sorry, as my classroom light goes off by. But nowhere else in life do we do that except politics. And all it does is hurt us and hurt Wyoming. So I really hope to bring a very different type of voice. I grew up in Wyoming for a big part of my life. I grew up in Alaska. I've lived overseas. I traveled in my previous career. I've worked with people from every background, faith, perspective, and I feel like I can work with anyone. And that's what I will do if I'm elected.
Okay, now in conclusion, there are several different ways. I don't know if you want to just provide your conclusion, or I can give you some prompts to that. But I'm going to give you a couple of prompts, and then you're welcome to answer those, plus add to that. If elected, what do you hope to achieve? Secondly, what is the greatest strength that you bring to this position? And why should voters vote for you over your opponent? You may begin.
So what do I hope to achieve? Many things. I want to bring our education system back to one of the best in the nation. I want our schools to be an absolute bastion for quality education. I don't want Wyomingites to feel like they need to attend a charter school or a private school to get a quality education. I want our teachers to feel valued. I want our teachers to feel supported. I don't want them to be demonized. I don't want our librarians to be demonized. These are people who have chosen to take less pay to work in a field to educate the youth that will eventually be our leaders. And to demonize them and make their job that much harder doesn't get us anywhere. So that's one of the first things. And something I know everybody is talking about, but it's very real, is, how affordable Wyoming is to live in right now, both for older and younger Wyomingites. Right now, I said it earlier, but we are losing our young people at the highest rate in the nation out of all 50 states. Well, one of the reasons is they can't afford to buy their first home here, right? Our wages don't support the housing costs that we currently have. And so we are locking those people out of the housing market, which has long-term effects, of course. But also on the other side, older Wyomingites who work, they put money into our economy, they, take care of our state for 30 years, retire, and then eventually are forced out of their home because they can't afford the rising property taxes or cost of living. These are things that we need to address head on. It can't be something that we just continue to push out and hope it goes away, because it's not going away. So those are two of the things top of mind. More than that, I just want to ensure that Wyoming continues to be a great place to live, because my wife and I now have an 8-month-old daughter, and in 18 years, I want her to be here near me, near, her mom. And if we continue down this road, I'm worried that she won't be. As far as strengths go, I hope that I'm the type of person that can bring people together. Given my diverse personal background, professional background, I feel like I can talk to anybody. I'll talk to people who I disagree with vehemently if we can work towards a common goal, if we have good intentions. I'm not going to get involved in the typical stuff. I'm not going to get involved in name calling. I'm not going to get involved in what's going on in our country right now that I think is really tearing us apart. So that would be, I hope, the biggest thing I bring to the legislature. And then I think I missed one of your questions. What was the other one?
I think you've pretty well addressed it. One was
Okay.
what you hope to achieve, your strengths, which I think you've already addressed those, and why should voters choose you?
Okay.
And
Well,
I think you've addressed all three of them, but if you'd like to add anything else, please feel welcome to.
I'll just say one last thing is
Okay.
regarding the why voters should, I hope, choose me.
Mhm.
Early voting starts today, July 23rd. Our primary is coming up in 4 weeks, August 20th. And I genuinely want to be a representative that communicates with the people in their district. So I've been going door to door for over 2 months now. I believe as a representative, my responsibility is to communicate with those in my district and listen to their feedback and use their opinions, their stances when I go to the legislature. I'm not going to just get elected and disappear. That's the complete opposite of why I'm running. I'm trying to bring something different to the Wyoming House of Representatives. So I hope that you will vote for me, and I hope to, bring that with me if I'm elected.
Great. Thank you so much. So
Yeah.
just in conclusion on my part, I want to thank you, Thomas Lear, again, a candidate for House District 12. Thank you for your time today. Enjoyed visiting with you, and good luck. Take care.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.